Welcome to This Week in Wrestling. Yo, welcome to the Hard&Soft Pro Wrestling Podcast, another edition of This Week in Wrestling. You know who it is, Randall, always Soft Pacioli, and I'm here with my big brother. You know the name, Chris, always hard-hearting. Chris, what up, man?
Hey, what's going on, Randall, man? I am just excited to be here, and we're only talking about This Week in Wrestling. We're not even sitting here watching wrestling today, and, I'm still excited about this week, so... I'm glad to be here. Glad you got the banner still up there, looking good.
Of course I do.
Yeah.
Of course I do.
Love that banner.
I mean, we either watch wrestling or we recap wrestling. And I don't know about you, but what else do you got going on other than recording a dope-ass podcast?
This is pretty much it, so.
Well, ditto.
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, guys, like we said, this is This Week in Wrestling. We're going to go ahead and get into the highlights of each show of this week. Usually we just do, Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown, but I do have a little bit of NXT news and a great match on Rampage that we're going to talk about, too. So, hey, Randall, if you don't mind, I'll just go ahead and get started into Monday Night Raw.
I don't mind at all, Chris. And, hey, just so everyone knows, don't let the breeze blow you away.
Autumn breeze, baby.
Shout out to 3WA, baby.
Q-Town Wrestling. Fans. Got to go see it one of these days. But hey, so Raw started off with Lashley versus Rollins in a United States Championship match. I know you roll your eyes. It's Lashley and all, but hey, it was a really good match. And during the match, back and forth, very back and forth between the two. And at the end, Riddle came out to cause a distraction. Rollins lost. They actually, kind of brawled at it, and that's kind of how the segment ended. So, good match. They're setting up the Rollins and Riddle feud, which I'm not going to get too much into that, but there's a little bit more news that happens later on in the show about that. So, Did you see Chris, any of that Lashley match?
I'm not a big Bobby Lashley fan, but anyway, I think the Riddle and the Rollins feud, that still has legs to it, so I'm happy that they're, continuing on with that. I think the WWE does a good job, not dragging things out, but knowing when there's money somewhere and not giving us the blowaway, spot right away. Drag it out.
Yeah, you might as well. And later on in this episode, you're going to see where it's going to lead to. So next, this was just a filler segment. Damage Control came down for a victory celebration for winning the women's tag titles last week. So, that's pretty much all there is to say about that. Actually, I guess it's set up for the main event because we had Bianca Belair, Asuka, and Alexa Bliss come down, and then the main event of the show ended up being Bayley versus Alexa Bliss. So I guess it did a little bit of something. But next, we actually had really good match here: Kevin Owens versus Theory. So during the match, Gargano actually came down, caused a distraction for Theory, gave Kevin Owens the win with the pop-up powerbomb. I like where everything's going, but 2 matches in a row ending up in a distraction finish. I guess they're not doing it just seems weird, 2 matches in a row, you're going to have that distraction. But, Gargano is kind of feuding with Theory at the moment, so it's kind of just setting all that up too. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think sometimes, booking can be probably pretty tough. And you don't want to fall into those habits of DQs, finishes, or distraction or schmaz finishes, right? But sometimes, they can book themselves into a corner. Maybe that's what happened here, but sometimes that's how you get out of it.
And it's Monday Night Raw, so it's not really it's not a pay-per-view. So
welcome really to Monday Night Raw.
Then we had the Brutes.
My neighbors just told me to shut up.
I know you might get a noise complaint here. We had the Brutes come out to talk about their tag title match against the Usos next Friday on SmackDown, and the Street Profits came down to interrupt, saying that they won a number 1 contendership match because they weren't in the Fatal 4-Way last week. So the Brutes actually gave it to them, and Brutes got the win, and they're still going on to SmackDown to face the Usos, which I pretty much kind of thought. They're just trying to get them another win, I guess, but I assume the Usos are going to beat them on Friday. So
Yeah, the Usos are stars, man. They're the real deal, and the WWE has done a good job. They're homegrown talent. I don't know if they started in NXT.
The
I'm
Brutes?
unsure about that. No, I'm sorry, the Usos.
Oh,
But
I don't think so. But they've been around for so long, and I mean,
yeah,
like right now, their storyline right now with the Bloodline is, I mean, it's amazing. And we're gonna get into that from SmackDown, so we'll let that go for a minute. But there was actually a sign being shown in the crowd with this QR code, and it didn't take you to the Hard and Soft Wrestling podcast, but I'm not really sure why. But I didn't get a chance to go and actually see what page it took you to, but I guess there was some type of cryptic message about the White Rabbit, and people are saying it's Bray Wyatt coming back. So I don't know. It's just another cryptic message. People are also saying something about Karrion Kross, but for me, he already has a feud going with Drew McIntyre. So I don't know why they would tease something like that with Karrion Kross at the moment, but I mean, we'll see where it goes. It will be cool if it is Bray Wyatt, but I guess time will tell with that one. I don't know if you got a chance to see that page or.
I just think, man, this is really intriguing stuff. The WWE is doing a great job with this, man. I mean, this is what the internet is talking about, right? They're talking about this story, what's coming, the White Rabbit, Bray Wyatt, this and that, and a lot of people have a lot of different. They're calling a bunch of different things. Not everyone's calling the same thing, so it could go various ways. And I just think it's really interesting. I just hope that they do keep it simple. I think sometimes Bray Wyatt can go this way, that way, and it's like kind of hard to follow him.
Wait, did you say hard?
Well, this is the Hard and Soft Pro Wrestling podcast, but Triple H, I hope he does a good job containing this, and but I want to see them drag this out, man. You talked about Karrion Kross. A theory is that Karrion Kross and his girlfriend are part of this whole Bray Wyatt clan.
Yeah.
And I would love to see that. I mean, Roman Reigns is on top of the world.
Like his old cartoon characters are like coming back to life or something like that.
And that's freaking really cool. That's as a wrestling fan, that's exactly what I want to see. Stuff like that. It can be a little gaga, but whatever.
Scarlett would work for me. And
right.
Also they have Braun Strowman.
Right.
Back in WWE. They could use him in that group.
And if anyone's going to take out the bloodline, it could be a faction like this.
A new Wyatt family.
Exactly. A new Wyatt family.
And they're having Survivor Series is going to have a War Games match. So it could be like they could bring back Bray Wyatt and do something like that. Remember they had the Shield versus the Wyatts? I mean, that was freaking awesome. I mean, this bloodline versus a new Wyatt family. I don't want to get too ahead of myself because I might get too excited, thinking that it's going to happen and then it doesn't happen, but it would be freaking awesome.
Well, speaking of getting too excited, if I could have one wish in wrestling, it's that Vince McMahon, the character, the heel, is somehow
he's the White Rabbit,
dude. I mean, come on, dude. And I'm just thinking because I'm thinking ahead a little bit, and I know WrestleMania is coming. It's in Hollywood. I think we kind of all know the main event of night 2 probably going to be Roman and Rock. Do you really need the title there? I mean, I don't know. I think you let that headline night 2 and you put the title on night 1 as the main event, and maybe it's like a Bray Wyatt and Cody Rhodes type thing. Who knows? But we'll see.
Yeah, I guess we'll see where it goes.
I'm getting way too ahead of myself.
We're getting very excited for something that might not happen,
I gotta stay in my soft lane, I gotta stay cool.
Yeah, let's stop getting hard. I think I'm gonna get a little soft right now too. Next we had Mysterio coming out, and I guess Edge got injured in the match last week. They're trying to say Edge is kind of hurt right now, but Mysterio was saying that Edge is not out of the fight yet, though. He may be hurt, but he's not completely done. And he actually had a tag match with Riddle, and he went against Damian Priest and Finn Balor of the Judgment Day. So great match, and again, a lot of outside interference here from the Judgment Day. So obviously Dominic's playing a role here and everything like that. We kind of knew that going into the match. Yet I love Dominic Mysterio just as much
Michael Cole.
I love Michael Cole. At the end of this match,
get your gimmicks in.
Rollins came out and attacked Riddle again, and this set up what I was talking to you before at Extreme Rules on October
8th,
I think it is. Yes, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, they're going to have a fight pit match. So I don't know if you've seen one of those. They've had 2 on NXT. It's kind of like they're there's like a ledge, and then down below there's like a pit, and they're kind of like in like a UFC fight pit type thing. So that should be a pretty good match. So that's gonna be at Extreme Rules.
If anyone's gonna make a good match at anything, it's Seth Rollins, man, and Matt
Rollins
Riddle's a new dude, and I think you see a trend here, especially in this episode of Monday Night Raw, right? I mean, Matt Riddle being paired and pitted against Seth Rollins. Triple H does a good job. Let's take a veteran, make a new star. The Judgment Day, same thing. You got Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Let's put them against Edge and Mysterio. That's just smart booking, and that's how wrestling is, man.
They need to learn from the best, which they have the best there, so you might as well put them together.
They still have a bunch of Hall of Fame talent.
They sure do. And the next segment was pretty cool if you're into the Miz and Dexter Lumis thing. So Miz TV segment was going on, and Dexter Lumis was supposed to be a guest, but he didn't show up. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you just see a knife pop up from the bottom of the ring, and he cuts himself out, and he pokes his head out. He comes out, and Ciampa and Miz attack him. He goes back down, and as they're kind of like wondering where the hell he is, he pops back up again, and he runs Miz and Ciampa off. So I mean, they're keeping that storyline going. And to go back to the Bray Wyatt thing, like as those characters are coming back to life, I saw something online too about like Dexter Lumis could also be one of those characters back into like the Wyatt family, like with the whole kind of creepy thing that they're doing with him right now. I don't know though. I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to get too ahead of myself here.
Yeah, one thing to add on that segment, that segment means nothing if the Miz doesn't sell it like he does. The Miz is so good at stuff like that.
He's so good.
He made it. And yeah, Chris, to your point, I mean, I just hope that if this is the case, they slowly start picking off members of the bloodline. Because like I said, that's a main event storyline. People want to see it. Start picking them off, and we'll see the new Wyatt family or whatever. Yeah, versus the bloodline, and that's money, man.
That's going to be a great feud. Next, we actually had Judgment Day in the backstage segment offering AJ Styles to join up with them, and he, again, said no and walked away. So, I mean, maybe AJ Styles will join Judgment Day one of these days. Who knows? It could be that they're going to try to stack Judgment Day up to be a huge faction and maybe put them against the Bloodline. So, I don't know. But the main event was Alexa Bliss versus Bayley for the main event, obviously. And Bayley won, and now she is going to challenge Belair for the title at Extreme Rules. So, 2 matches already set for Extreme Rules there. So a decent Raw, nothing crazy, but good filler segments and good storylines leading into the next week.
Yeah, I think the WWE does a good job, even though they have pay-per-views every month. It seems like every third week they have a pay-per-view. It seems like they're doing a lot more to build better cards. They don't, like Extreme Rules, I think in the years past was a throwaway card,
Oh, yeah.
You can see that this card isn't like that, and it's being shown some attention. And yeah, I thought it was a solid Raw.
Yeah. And NXT, I just have like one little note from NXT. We're not going to go into all the matches, but Solo Sikoa was stripped of the North American title by Shawn Michaels. So I'm guessing that just is him being just pushed to SmackDown permanently. I guess they're just going to keep him off of NXT now. But I kind of like that he had that North American title because then he also brought, another title to the Bloodline, which was pretty cool. But, I mean, either way, he's going to be an enforcer for the Bloodline. So that's pretty much all I had for that. But going into Dynamite, we had a jam-packed show here. I mean, from start to finish, this was a great show. Title changes, all the big moments that you want on a show happened in this show. So, I mean, right away we started with Chris Jericho versus Claudio for the Ring of Honor title. Now, to be perfectly honest, I could really care less about the Ring of Honor title. But putting the title on Chris Jericho and the way that they did it, because he broke the code of honor and he cheated to win, and I guess that's like a big thing with the Ring of Honor title. So that's just putting Jericho in another spotlight. He's gonna make Ring of Honor a bigger company, being their champion, and the way that he won the title by cheating to win, it's gonna be a huge storyline. So I mean, it was a great match, great way to start off the night. And like I said, I don't care about the title, but it was a cool match. And I like that they got the title off of Claudio, so now he can be more of a part of Dynamite.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, Chris Jericho comes out. does some classic heel shit. Got to throw my shit in there, dude. I think I'm a huge fan of wrestling, but I'm a huge fan of wrestling because of the crowd. This crowd on Wednesday night was the show stealer, man. I mean, they were in it, they were part of it. I thought the entranceway, the stage looked great. I was really impressed. I'm surprised that they started the show with this match, and I'm surprised that Jericho won the Ring of Honor title because I feared on this card that AEW would do too many title changes. I think if you do too many, like I said in previous episodes, it diminishes the titles and it diminishes the title changes and yada, yada, yada. But if anyone's going to pull it off, it's Chris Jericho. And I thought this was well done, man. I mean, they went out and rocked it and kicked the show off hot. Yeah.
And then right after that, they kept the heat going with the tag team title match with Swerve and Our Glory versus The Acclaimed. The Acclaimed probably should have won the titles at the last pay-per-view. There was a little bit more heat and stuff like that at the pay-per-view. But, I mean, they got a huge ovation when they won. They had Daddy Ass in there and everything like that. Scissor Party. Right? I mean, I think the whole Scissor Party thing is freaking stupid, but, it is what it is. So
you know why I like it, dude? You know why I like it? Say what you want. It makes me feel good.
It is funny.
It makes me smile.
And that's what wrestling's all about, just getting that feeling.
Again, if there's one thing, and I think wrestling is so good right now, dude. Wrestling's back, and the way you know that is because there's two companies, and there's things that me and you both like about each company, and both dislike about each company.
Yep.
I think the one thing to knock on AEW is they chase the pop a little too much. Like, I get it. The Acclaimed are hot. We want to see them. We want to see that big moment where they take the titles, but
they already had Jericho winning, and then all this stuff that they have later on in the show too. It kind of like overshadows all this.
Now, having said that, the moment was great. I mean, the crowd popped. The crowd was ready for it, and I thought the match was really, really solid. I'm a big fan of Swerve Strickland. I think he needs
to be on his own.
Yeah, and I think given the Acclaimed, the titles does give them it does put them over a little bit more than they were. I just wish maybe we could drag it out. But hey, it was a good moment.
Exactly. Next was pretty freaking awesome moment. We had Tony Schiavone out there interviewing Wheeler Yuta, and MJF came down to interrupt, start cutting into Wheeler Yuta.
Hey, Wheeler Yuta did a nice job here.
He actually did.
Yeah, he did. He hung in there with MJF, and MJF, I mean, if Romans won, MJF is right there as far as being on top of the wrestling business.
And Wheeler Yuta is pretty much a nobody, and here he is holding his own on the mic with MJF, which is pretty cool. But, I mean, the best part of this whole thing was it ended up with MJF shoving Schiavone onto the ground. So I mean,
Schiavone takes a nice bump.
Schiavone takes a bump. It stinks!
God damn it!
So great moment there. But next we had Pac versus Orange Cassidy, freshly squeezed for the All-Atlantic Championship.
You're giving him some TV time here.
So
put his gimmicks out there.
I'm glad that Pac won because we didn't need another title change, and we don't need Orange Cassidy as a champion. But I will say, rocking in the parking lot at Triple Dub A this weekend at Q-Mart, listening to the freshly squeezed theme song,
dude,
was pretty cool.
It's nice. And,
but I'm glad he lost.
I will say I'm not a huge fan of Orange Cassidy as well. I'm not really a huge fan of Pac either. I don't love the high flying when that's all that it is. But I thought these two, they didn't do a title change, which I liked. Okay, thank you AEW, thank you Tony. But I thought this is their best match between the two. This was a good match. It was solid.
Definitely.
Some good spots in there because, they have to. But I enjoyed it. And, Chris, we had a bet going throughout this whole card. Who was going to win, who was going to lose. And I won more picks than you did as far as winners and losers.
So now I got to take a picture with Orange Cassidy on December 17th.
A bet's a bet.
A bet is a bet. And I'm going to do it. And I'm going to give him a thumbs up in the picture, too. And don't worry, I'll post it on the Instagram page for you guys to see when it happens.
There you go.
So next was a pretty cool moment. We had the women's match, 4-way title match. I hate to say whatever, but I mean whatever. But at the end, let's see who came out. Paige debuts on AEW television, who is going by Soraya now.
Soraya.
I think I said that right. I'm not sure, but so that
Daniel Bryanson and Paige.
Oh yeah, I can never really get either of those right. But that was a pretty cool moment. She came out, and Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter were beating someone down in the ring, and then Paige came out to try to back them off. So I'm not sure if Paige is coming back to wrestle or whatnot, but I mean that's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
I would believe so. She'd be coming back to wrestle, and yeah, I thought it was a great return. It was out of nowhere. I didn't hear any rumors about this, so that was well done. And Paige,
didn't even know that was going to happen. So
yeah, and I'm sorry, Soraya came in, and she was eating it up like a pro. I mean, she did a great job. Loving it. You could tell her adrenaline was peaked. I popped for it.
Mm-hmm. I was
literally sitting here in the dark. I was
sitting there popping
with my blanket on, and my jaw actually dropped. So, well done.
And you wonder why we call you soft. So, it is what it is.
What are you going to do?
Next, we had the main event.
Hey, it's okay to be soft, Chris. It is. I'll tell you.
For most of the day. We had Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley.
Dude, you know what? Daniel
Don't
Bryan.
You give me anything.
Okay.
And that was for the AEW World title. So, I mean, honestly, it was a wonderful match. I'm not going to say great. This was a wonderful match. I mean, back and forth. They had everything you wanted in this match. And, I mean, the finish was a sleeper.
Yeah.
So, for the AEW World title, now you have a 3-time champion in Jon Moxley winning that match with the sleeper. So, I mean, what do you think of that? How do you think of that match, Randall?
I thought there was good story to of the best workers today. You had MJF up there in the rafters, so good storyline. You know, he's holding the chip up there. Yeah, almost like he's like, he really could give a shit who's going to win or lose. He's just watching a match, and it was just. I think every good card has a world title match on top that ends clean. You know. And I really enjoyed it. I didn't know which way they were going to go with it. I thought the way the story was going that Moxley would go over. But a part of me thought Daniel Bryan deserves it too, so you never know.
Yeah, I didn't think that they were going to put the title on Moxley and give him the 3-time championship, you know? And I thought it was going to be like whoever's going to get the title is going to be like in a kind of transition period, but with MJF winning. But I'm almost thinking that possibly MJF gets the match and loses, and Moxley beats him. I don't know, though.
You never know. I hope that match, whatever it is, because we're going to be there live, facing the stage at Full Gear in November.
I kind of hope they do the title change because it's going to be a pretty big moment.
We'll pop for it. But, again, you didn't know where they were going to go. You weren't quite sure. So I think that's when wrestling's its best. And this was, I mean, some of the chops in this match were, like, brutal to listen to. And I'm not, I'll admit it, I'm not the biggest, like, Moxley fan. But I think the stuff he's doing right now, cutting that promo, boosting the AEW title right after the Punk thing, he's kind of carrying AEW, making that title mean something, and I enjoy it.
Oh, yeah. I think Mox is the man right now. And they
right now it's his time.
On him. They need to keep that title on him until he either loses it to MJF or he beats MJF, and they need to stop moving that title around too much. So if MJF wins, then they need to keep that title on MJF for like the next year. So, but yeah, great Dynamite tonight.
It was.
Wednesday night was a great Dynamite. So now let's get into SmackDown because SmackDown was pretty good. Started off great. We came down with the whole bloodline coming out. Roman Reigns, the Usos, Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa, Sami Zayn, Honorary Uso. So started off great. Roman is demanding that Sami takes his shirt off. You know, you're not in the bloodline. Give me that shirt. Sami's begging and pleading, you know. And Jey Uso gets pissed. He goes over and rips the shirt right off of Sami and throws it on the ground. And, I mean, Sami, just a look on his face. He looks defeated. You know?
Sold it great.
And Roman throws him a new shirt and declares him the Honorary Uso.
Finally.
And, I mean, he was so happy, comes over, hugs him. You know, it was like just a great moment. It was such a good thing. Like, Roman Reigns has to just sit out there and do nothing, and it works.
He is so good. He's so
He
good.
really is. I mean,
I don't even know what else to say.
want, but honestly, he really
Well,
is.
anyone that hates Roman Reigns right now,
he
or
is
hates the
wrestling
bloodline,
right now.
if you hate the bloodline,
He's
dude,
number one on the PWI.
he deserves it, dude. He is. Dave got that right. Is it Meltzer that does that?
No,
Or no?
Dan Seltzer would never get anything right.
Dan Seltzer doesn't write that. But if you're not a fan of Roman, if you're not a fan of the bloodline, that's fine. But just understand that to get that whole arena to pop like that, he just tossed someone a T-shirt.
Yeah.
That says enough.
He came out the night after WrestleMania, beating Undertaker, and didn't even say anything, and the crowd went crazy for minutes. He said like 3 words, and the crowd went nuts for minutes. So I mean, this guy has something, man, and he doesn't even have to be there all the time. But great moment.
I'm actually surprised. I know he got stuck with Paul Heyman, not stuck with Paul Heyman, but he was given Paul Heyman to guide him, and Paul's done a great job. I mean, we're big.
I thought they were going to break up a while ago.
Yeah, I just can't. It's almost surprising how good Roman is. Like the level he was at, he was pretty big, and then he just exploded to one of the best.
He's on top.
And he's making a kiss for the best of all time. I mean, I know it's early yet, but
he's on top right now. You can't really say anything else.
Yeah, he is.
Great segment. Next was actually Liv Morgan versus Lacey Evans, but the match was decent. But after the match was the best part. Liv Morgan gets the kendo stick out. She hits Lacey Evans, puts her on the table, goes up to the top rope, hits from the top rope to the outside through the table on Lacey Evans to set up a match. I think that they're going to have at Extreme Rules, which awesome moment for the women right here.
Yeah, and I think that's something to say about the WWE. You know, they don't do a lot of table spots, but when they do them, it means something, right? Because now you're thinking of Extreme Rules, you're thinking of Ronda.
When do we usually try to start a "We Want Tables" chant? During the women's matches.
Well, okay. What does that say about us?
Well, come on now. So next we had Braun Strowman versus Otis. I mean, decent match. They made a big deal about how they had to reinforce the ring before they started this match. Shows, a lot of beef up in this ring. So, we got to reinforce this. It was a decent match. I mean, Otis got some of his shit in, and in the end, Strowman won with a powerbomb.
Beefing it up.
And I feel like Strowman is just there, and he's just waiting for Bray Wyatt to come along and snatch him up into his group. So,
yeah,
we'll see where that goes. Next, pretty good promo. McIntyre came out, so and he's saying that at Extreme Rules, him and Karrion Kross are going to be in a strap match. So, I mean, that should be a decent match. I don't know if it's going to be the strap match where they got to touch all 4 corners, or if it's just going to be a pinfall victory. But Scarlett came out to distract McIntyre while he's talking here, and Karrion Kross came up from behind. But Drew got the best of him, took him out, and probably the worst fireball moment. Scarlett tried to hit Drew with the fireball, and it really didn't look that good at all, but Drew sold it, And to be honest, I mean, I might give it shit, but, I mean, you can't really know that you're gonna do good with a fireball spot like that. You know what I mean? It's
was it worse than Hogan from back in the day in WCW?
I don't know. I think it might have actually been better than that because that was pretty.
Wasn't it Hogan and Warrior?
Him and Warrior, yeah, that was so bad, and Warrior didn't even sell it. He didn't even do anything. Anything even happened. Yeah, good job, Warrior. But
yes. Scarlett's Roll Tide and
yes. And at the end, we had Cross going over.
Right.
And I'm glad to see Scarlett coming out.
When you said strap match, I couldn't help but think of a match that maybe we could add to our schedule, Chris, if you would be so kind. Not a strap match, but a bull rope match between
JBL?
Dusty Rhodes, and it was an ECW. And now I'm blanking on Rhodes' opponent. I'll get it here before the end of the podcast. Steve Corino.
Ooh.
Dusty Rhodes, Steve Corino, the bull rope cowboy bell in the middle. Never know.
Never know. That sounds like
I love me some bionic elbows.
Hit them with them. The main event was the Brutes versus the Usos for the unified tag team titles. Good match. Imperium came down to attack Sheamus to try to probably set up a match between him and Walter, I think, maybe at Extreme Rules. And the Usos were able to pick up the victory, which, I mean, I really didn't think that the Usos were going to lose the titles here. So pretty
nice.
predictable, but good match. You know,
Good
Brute's
match.
Brute's got their stuff in, and
Samoans on top of wrestling, like they've
that's
been for a
exactly
long
right.
time.
The dynasty, baby. And usually we don't even talk much about, like I said, NXT or Rampage, and because they're mostly like recorded shows. So, but Rampage, I know Randall, you watch Rampage, and you wanted to say something about the Darby Allin and Sting versus Buddy Matthews and Brody King match.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a pretty big fan of Darby Allin. I like the stuff that he's doing with Sting. We've seen Buddy Matthews a bunch, so he's kind of like our hometown guy. We like seeing him on TV.
Hell yeah, man.
But the spot at the end, they do a couple cool things, kind of a car crash of a match here for the main event of Rampage. But then, of course, the big reveal coming down the stage, crazy moment. The Great Muta coming down. And the Great Muta is like kind of like a Finn Balor demon type character from All Japan or wherever. So him and Sting have a bunch of story there from the 80s and the 90s and all that sort of thing. So you didn't know which way Muta was going to go. He ends up turning around, throws a little leg drag on Buddy. Buddy sells it well, gets misted. Big table spot there at the end, and I think the Muta is actually going to have like a last match, kind of like the Ric Flair thing. It seems like a bunch of the old timers are like, maybe I could milk another pay-per-view. Yeah, so I think Sting's going to be involved in that. But
hey, we saw
this was cool
at the ECW arena.
Yeah, and just seeing him, there's a lot of legacy there.
Yeah, pretty cool moment.
Yeah, it was cool. It's
stuff.
Cool. It's cool that we're seeing these moments in wrestling again. I maybe 5 years ago you would never think of that being in the States, but it's cool.
Wrestling's back. Muda's back here. So, that was basically this week in wrestling, guys. We kind of wanted to come on here and tell you what happened throughout the week. So, I really appreciate you guys being here with us along for the journey. And I really hope that if you're watching us right now, you make sure to let all your friends know, family members know about the podcast. Keep it growing and give us shout outs. We're going to hit you back. Our next episode is going to be for you, Shell Kid. It's going to be Walter versus Sheamus at Clash of the Castle 2022. We also have a couple other fan requests coming in for Gavin and his dad. We got 2 more episodes coming in. And actually, I'd like to promote something for little Gavin right here. We got a show coming up. Hopefully you can see this a little bit. It's October 16th, Sunday, October 16th at the Circle Drive-In. And that's at 1911 Scranton Carbondale Highway in Dixon City, PA. They're going to have a Smash Monster wrestling event. And, if you're in the area, Scranton area, stop on by. Me and Randall are probably going to be there. Hard&Soft Nation. And, Randall, you got anything else to add to the show?
No, but just thanks everyone for the support. I think Chris and I, we can feel it, and it's just something that we started as a hobby. But through it, we've met some new people, and we go to these wrestling shows, and we have fun promoting it. It gives us a chance to talk to some people, meet some new people. So it's been cool for us. Can't thank y'all enough being part of the Hard&Soft Nation. Yeah, it's fun for us to do. It's fun for us to hang out and do this sort of thing. But please hit us up on Instagram. Give us some requests here. We'll get some stuff y'all want. And
we're very interactive with you guys.
Yeah, maybe too much so, but
possibly.
We have a good time with it. It's just pro wrestling. It's our favorite thing, man.
Hell yeah, man. And like I always say, if you're not hard, you're soft.
You're damn right.